Hi, in this video we'll see how to create a new project with Webda. The idea is first, of course, you create a folder, then inside this folder we will install the Webda application. So here we are. Once it's installed, we install the shell utils. It takes a little bit more time because the package is bigger. Once this is done, we can see, of course, that we have like just a node module inside our folder right now. So we'll launch the configurator by doing webda-config. And here is the configurator. So we have for now no routes that has been configured. We have no services, neither we have any deployment. So we just see the global variables that you can set up inside your configuration. Here we'll create, let's say we want a simple application. We'll work on the front end on another video. So here we'll create a authentication service. So when I do that, basically I just take a component that will handles for me the OAuth for like Facebook, Google, Amazon, and also handle the email registration. So let's create this one. So here you can see that you define this like where you are redirect to when you successfully log in. So here we'll input like, as we're gonna use on the UI just the gulp web server, we'll just input here the normal one. Here you can configure as many providers as you want. You have like the default Facebook and everything, like you can, so every time you want a new provider, just define a new object with client ID, client secret, and the scope for OAuth or for email. Here we can see that if we want to don't validate the email, we just say here post validation equal true. So we'll save that. And now if we go back to the root, we'll see that a bunch of URL has already been set up with this service. So that's all the URLs that can be called to authenticate against our application. The authentication needs to store some users. So we'll use the Dynamo store and we say we need users. There is like two requirements, one table for users and another one for the IDONs. Like one user can have several type of logins, so we'll use that. So now here we have two users. The goal is to deploy on Amazon. We can see here that I already have like 3 tables for the demo, one for contact, IDONs, and users. You can see also that I have one S3 buckets that we'll use, which is the image bucket. And we can see that for now we have no Lambda at all. And we also don't have any API gateway. So once I'm here, so here that means let's go back to the Lambda, the DynamoDB to get the name of the tables. So it is webda.demo guidance. We say this one, and here webda.demo users. Okay, so now we set up like 2 Dynamo stores. So those one will in fact handle the storage inside Dynamo, and we'll create a new one which is the contact Dynamo. So the goal of this application will be to store just contact for a user. So here we'll store it inside the contacts. So here we are. We still have only those routes because we haven't exposed our stores. So let's do that by doing on this one, as I don't want to filter anything, I just expose like that. Once I've saved with these settings, you'll see that inside the routes now I have the REST API for contact that is linked to my service. If I go inside like here, I just want a user to be able to delete some of his items. So I'm gonna put the configuration with restriction. So here I don't want create because it needs to go through an approval. If the authentication service will take care of creation of your items, I don't want you to be able to update it from the REST API, and also I don't want you even to get it, so you can only delete. And if I do that and save, we'll see inside the routes that's now we have an items with just the UUID and the delete method. So here we are. The users needs to have like on the user, I don't want you to be able to create a new user. So let's do objects. So that means restricts. And here, I don't want creation. So if I go back to roots, now I have a user with put, get, and delete, but I don't have the post on users, so I cannot create new users. So here we are. We have the the default settings here. The items needs to have like a map, because basically that's something we'll see. I think we'll see that later. Is you need to define the map between items and users. And finally, we want to store images for a contact, so we'll create a S3 binary, which we call images, where we'll store the image that you want to put on a contact. So let's create this one. So now we have images, and the S3 bucket was called webda.demo-images. And here we want to expose it. So if we save like that, we'll see that we have the images store API to be able to store a file on your contact. So on both the items, the context, and the image, we need to set up the map because it's all mapped to a user. So we'll see that just right after. Inside the deployment configuration, we want to later deploy this application on Lambda. So basically we'll create a new deployment saying AWS here. And here we have an AWS deployment. So what we can see is we can modify the configuration of the application when we deploy. You can override some specific configuration per service, and on the deployment, that's where you will define also the access key you want to use that are able to create new Lambda functions. So when you, let's say, if we go back to the service, we will see that here the service is in red because we don't have any access key ID defined for this service, so we don't know what it needs to use. So we'll update the configuration here, saying we'll put some access key. Let's put just nothing for now. And here I'll put another one, which is secret key. Okay, and I'll save that. If I go back inside the service, I'll see that it's still red because I didn't activate any deployment. So this deployment is not active. That means if I ask to what is the parameters available for this service, you'll see that there is a type table, if it's exposed or not, but you don't have anything else. So that means it's missing. Let's say here, if you put the access key ID, you'll see that now inside this service we'll have the access key ID that is available, but it's still missing the secret access key. So for security purpose, I think it's better to split the configuration, like the credential from the application, so it's inside the deployment. So now I'm gonna activate this deployment, so we can see that the current deployment is now AWS. And since I've done that, you can see that now it's blue, because basically it will find the secret key that we define inside our deployment. So all the service should be blue, because they have all their configuration from this deployment. So for the simplicity of the demo, I will copy a deployment that is already set up with some of mine credential, and I will launch the configuration again. So here you can see that he has lost the connection with the server, with the configuration server, and now he got it back again. So here we have a basic setup, and inside the deployment we have like real key and all the things, the Lambda role that we want to use for this application, and the REST API name that we want to use. We haven't yet defined the mapping, and I think we'll see that in another video to keep video as short as possible. So here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna deploy this. So now that I'm okay with that, just deploy it. So I'm clicking on this button, and here we'll see that it's creating first the package that it needs to send to AWS. When the package is created, it creates the Lambda functions, and now it will get into creating all the mapping for the API gateway. And it will add the options for the calls, because I defined a website, so to enable the website to be able to call this API with the website, the sockets, I mean the XHR object. So while we are doing that, we can see that in fact now in the same on our Lambda, we should see now we have a new Lambda function that is called Webda demo, and inside the API gateway we find out that now we have an API gateway that is configured, and he's currently creating all those routes for you. The beauty of it is it will generate all the needed mapping that you need to set up here, which can be quite complicated if you want to be able to send any code, any HTTP code and stuff like that. So we take care of everything for you, doing the header mapping, taking like here the body. So we're trying to hide for you the complexity of defining all of those. And it will put the stage name as the deployment name. So like that's what it's doing right here. It's generating the deployment for API gateway, and now we have the deployment set up and the right set of rights. So now if I refresh here, you see that I have AWS deployment with all the routes that we have set up, and here is the URL that is available here. So basically that's how you deploy an whole application inside Lambda and as a serverless application. with Webda. We'll go from there and create a new a front head with Polymer and the Webda web components to use this and to create a small contact application with the next video. So see you on the next video.